welcome back, Bill's Red, to another Minecraft Bedrock Edition tutorial. Now, if you know me, you know I love sorting items, and when it comes to sorting items, there is not a more crucial sorter than a non-stackable item sorter, which I have before me, which technically could also be known as a stackable item sorter. Now, what I mean by this is if I'm to throw in a bunch of items full of stackable and non-stackable items, all our stackable items will go in the bottom barrel, and then we'll have all our non-stackable items and shulker boxes end up in this top right chest. So while it might look like I'm showing two different tutorials today, I'm really just doing one tutorial. This one to my left just sorts all your stackables from your non-stackables, and the one to the right does that, as well as also sort out your shulker boxes, which can cause many issues when it comes to sorting non-stackable items. So it just makes it really easy and nice to be at the start or end of any sorting system you have. Now, if you're wondering why this system is so important, that's probably because you've never experienced a fully automatic sorting system. Now, sorting systems are great and all, but they require you to sort out your stackable from your non-stackable items, which in Minecraft Bedrock can be a bit tricky, which is what this system does relatively quickly and reliably. Now, when I mean relatively quickly, I mean
very quickly.
This entire system here, either as a single section or this entire part, works at hopper speed, which is 2.5 items per second, which is about as fast as you can get for sorting. And as for the system itself, it is relatively small, being only 3 or 4 blocks wide, 4 blocks long, and then of course 4 blocks tall. Now, this system might look a bit simple, but there's really a lot going on in the brains and calculations behind this. So if you didn't know, whenever any item is in any sort of container, you can detect that by the use of a comparator. Now, not only will the comparator tell you if any item is in some sort of container like a hopper or barrel, but it will also give a certain redstone signal strength. So if you didn't know, redstone signal strength are just an easy way for us to sort different items in Minecraft. Now, all items make a different redstone signal strength between 1 and 15, and it just depends on the type of item. So using comparators facing into a hopper, any sort of stackable item up to 16 or 64 gives a redstone signal strength of 1. So you can see that redstone lamp has turned on, but the redstone signal does not make it to this block turning on this lamp. Now, if I'm to replace this bit of redstone dust with a sword or some sort of non-stackable, you can see it has a redstone signal strength of 3, and if I'm to do the same thing with the shulker box, you'll see the exact same is true. Both those items have a redstone signal strength of 3 instead of 1. Now, this is very useful in this first part of the system. Now, the system doesn't rely on only one comparator, but in order for this system to be on constantly until an item comes into the system, there is also one more comparator up here, and this comparator is on subtract mode. And while it might sound complicated, don't worry, again, it's just simple math. So this comparator right here is detecting 32 items in this furnace, which gives a redstone signal strength of 3. So by using that, this block is powered on all the time until some sort of other item comes into the system. Now, let's say, for example, a stackable item comes in. So, for example, some redstone dust. This comparator is going to detect it, and it's going to send out a redstone signal strength of 1 to try to lock this block, which is 3 redstone signal strengths away, so it's not going to lock it. Now, it's also going to give a redstone signal strength of 1 up here, and that is going to go directly into the side of this comparator. Now, what this does is it takes the current comparator value, so in this furnace I have a redstone signal strength of 3, and 3 minus 1 is 2, so it's going to send out a redstone signal strength of 2, which is also going to let this block be completely unlocked, and by doing that, we are able to sort our redstone dust into this barrel right here. Now, if I am to put in, for example, a sword, that has a redstone signal strength of 3, so it's going to subtract 3 minus 3, that of course is 0, so this comparator is giving 0 redstone signal, and then this comparator is putting straight into this block or into this redstone dust, redstone signal strength of 3, keeping this block locked at all times. And because of this, if I simply unlock the top hopper temporarily, you'll see that sword will go into this double chest, and that is how we're able to sort out all our normal items from all our non-stackable items. Now, if you think about this system, theoretically, you could remove one comparator, but in Minecraft logic, that doesn't work. What I mean by is if I was to remove this comparator, all that would happen is whenever a non-stackable item comes in the system, so for example, if a sword comes in, it will send a redstone signal strength of 3, lock the bottom hopper, and of course go on its way, and any sort of stackable item will, of course, be unlocked and be allowed to go into the barrel down here, which again sounds great, but hopper logic makes this not work. Now, what I mean by hopper logic is hoppers, they have two actions, two things they like to do. They like to pull items down, and then they like to push items right here. This top hopper is pulling items down, and then it's going to push into the chest. And then this bottom hopper, which is what I'm really talking about, is pulling items from the top hopper and then pushing it down so it can go into this barrel. So what is happening is every time an item comes into this top hopper, the bottom hopper is pulling items so fast down that this comparator doesn't have time to react and lock this hopper down here to begin with. So no matter whether it is a stackable or non-stackable item, all items will end up going straight down into this chest because this comparator simply cannot react fast enough because it takes one redstone tick in order for it to turn on, and by that time the item's already in the hopper and it's too late because all the items end up going into this barrel. So that is why we must have this subtraction comparator up here, because that allows the system to stay on permanently until another item comes in, and that makes sure that this system works reliably no matter what. Now, using that same logic, we are able to sort out our shulker boxes. Now, the shulker boxes have an obvious advantage. Shulker boxes cannot be placed inside shulker boxes, avoiding an infinite storage loop, which of course makes sorting them out a lot easier. But we also need to make sure that the item has a chance to go in before unlocking the bottom hopper. So what we have is again, another furnace with 32 junk items. And that, of course, is giving a redstone signal strength of 3. Now, 3, again, is the magic number. Because if you remember, I said that any sort of shulker box or any other non-stackable item gives a redstone signal strength of 3. Now, 3 minus 3 is 0, so nothing happens. This torch will stay on, the hopper will stay locked, and this shulker box, even though it has a chance and is able to go into the shulker box, it can't because, again, infinite storage loop, and it's just going to stay here in this hopper. Now, let's say another shulker box comes along, and this also goes into this hopper. Now, that's going to raise this comparator's signal strength from 3 to 6. Now, 6 minus 3 is 3, which means that this comparator will output a redstone signal. So as soon as I put in the second shulker box, the hopper underneath is going to unlock long enough to let both those items to flow straight down into this barrel. Now, let's say, for example, there is a golden sword or any other non-stackable item in here. You'll see that it won't stay, allowing the comparator any time to actually detect it, because it's just going to go straight into the shulker box, and of course into its own area. Now, this does mean that you will have one shulker box end up stuck in this hopper, but if you do ever want to just flush it out, then just by sending one more shulker box, I'll send both of these two shulker boxes through, and of course, into this bottom chest. Now, while comparators are a bit tricky to understand, they are an amazing redstone component that makes this system behind me even possible in being so small and compact. Now, if you guys have any other questions or comments, let me know down below, of course, in the comments. And there's also a Materialist and World download in the description below, so check that out if you're interested. But with that, let's start the tutorial. So like I mentioned earlier, these two systems behind me are the exact same thing. One just has the addition of being able to sort shulker boxes as well as stackable and non-stackable items apart from each other. So I'm going to show you how to make this first one, and then of course the addition from here that makes this shulker box sorter work as well. So you're going to need a 4x4x4 or cube area in order to build this system. And we're going to start off with, here's where our 3 barrels are going to be. And of course, if you're just building the single sorter, then you're just going to need 1 barrel right here. You're going to come into the back side of this barrel, have a hopper going in, hopper going straight down. Then we're going to have a barrel or chest right here to the side, have a hopper going into that barrel. Then we'll come around to the back side, we'll have a solid block going into a solid block here. Come down 1 block, break your center block. We'll have 3 solid blocks right here. 1 more. We'll have 4 bits of redstone dust just like this. We'll have a comparator right here. Normal. Redstone dust up here. We'll have a solid block. Solid block. Then we'll have a comparator on subtract mode. And then we'll have our furnace right here. And this furnace needs to have 32 of any item you don't care about. And that will simply have the redstone dust on signal strength of 3. That should lock this hopper automatically. Now, of course, if you are to test it from here, you should see that all stackable items go straight down, and all shulker boxes and swords should end up into this right barrel or chest. And just like that, your simple, stackable, and non-stackable item sorter is complete. Now, in order to build the addition to sort out the shulker boxes, we are going to move this top barrel down here. So we will have 2 barrels where we'll have our shulker boxes and all other non-stackable items. We will have 2 hoppers going straight into those, straight down. Then right here, we are going to need to grab a shulker box, so one of the more expensive parts in the system, and then a hopper going straight into that shulker box. And your system should look something like this. Next, we'll come around to the back side. We'll have a solid block going into a solid block. Right here, we'll have a comparator on subtract mode. Come around to the other side, we'll have a redstone torch, 2 blocks right here, and we will have a repeater on 4 ticks and some redstone dust. Next, we're going to come up here to the side. We'll have a glass block with a redstone dust. We'll have a solid block with comparator. Now, this comparator, again, make sure it's on subtract mode, have the little torch up, and then we're going to have our furnace right here, and in this furnace, you need to make sure you have 32 junk items you don't care about. And just like that, this entire sorter is done. You just throw in a barrel full of your stackable, non-stackable, and shulker boxes in. Of course, stackable is in first, shulker boxes are in second, and all other non-stackable items will be in the third barrel. But that is really all there is to it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you all in the next one.